Hi, I'm Tim, and welcome to Watch You Want. Thanks for logging on. If there's one thing I like about Ulysse Nardin of Locle, Switzerland, it's their respect for their company heritage and tradition. And if there's two things I like about Ulysse Nardin, it's their respect for their tradition and heritage, plus their sense of good old-fashioned, unpretentious fun. It is, after all, the reason that we own and enjoy luxury watches. And this Ulysse Nardin Maxi Marine Diver Blue Sea limited edition, 46 millimeters, stainless steel with vulcanized blue rubber covering is the ultimate embodiment of both that Ulysse Nardin heritage and their sense of good old-fashioned fun. So let's throw it right on the wrist and cut to the chase. This 46 millimeter rubber-wrapped limited edition of 99 pieces is beautiful, beautifully colorful, and a real standout in the Marine Diver catalog. Now, the Marine Chronograph recalls the original Ulysse Nardin deck watches and deck clocks that were built to aid navigation during the 19th and 20th centuries. In fact, when Rolf Schneider bought the company in the early 1980s, just about the only thing still going on at the Ulysse Nardin factory was the rebuilding and maintenance of their old marine chronometers. That's right, they continue to accept them to this day and perform overhauls. Phenomenal instruments, they are nevertheless not in step with modern preferences in luxury horology. We want to wear our timepieces. So the Marine Chronometer series took the look of those old-fashioned deck clocks and it scaled it down to something you could in fact wear on your wrist while retaining the Swiss chronometer certification from the COSC, which governs the chronometer rating standard based on ISO 3159 and hands out chronometer certificates to qualified Swiss movements. But what the diver does is it takes that chronometer heritage and it puts it in a case that conforms to a different ISO standard, the 1996 to present 6425 dive watch standard, to have a watch rated to at least 100 meters, to have a unidirectional rotating bezel, to have a screw-down crown or equivalent, and of course, to have large calibrations with a constant seconds indicator and a high degree of nighttime or darkness visibility. And this watch has all of those. It is a true dive watch, but not only is it a true-to-history marine chronometer, not only is it a dive watch, it's also a limited edition, and a special one at that. Ulysse Nardin has taken AP's rubber-clad and has one-upped it. It's raised the game in rubber-wrapped watches. Not only does the bezel feature natural vulcanized rubber inserts, but so does the entire case. From the lugs to the crown itself, everything is wrapped in a beautifully supple, vulcanized natural rubber compound that feels a treat against the skin. And yes, the matching bracelet, it's a matching, highly contoured, pleated rubber strap. It's pleated on the inside, is a gorgeous piece that feels a treat against the skin, and there's virtually no metal touching my wrist here. I'll get to that in a moment, but let me just give you a sense of the fit. 46 millimeters, approximately 14.5 millimeters thick. It sits relatively low, but because the rubber does have a relatively high coefficient of drag and friction, it might be a challenge to pull a sleeve or a dress cuff over this one. I would say that because of the general character of this watch, being huge, outgoing, and colorful, it's probably best paired with casual wear, but that's fine. You've got your freak for the dinner table. Why not wear this Marine Diver Blue Sea limited edition into the pool? And it's fantastic for that. The watch feels great on the wrist. I can tell that if my wrist were wet, if there were sand ground in there, if it were sweaty, it would still feel just as comfortable, because the only real piece of metal touching my wrist, let me show you how the strap is constructed, because it's actually part metal, part rubber. It has these articulated end elements, so although it does flare out wide, far more than the case diameter of 46 millimeters, these articulated elements help it to contour to a smaller wrist, which is why despite its size and its sizable lugs and conforming rubber end links, it can fit so precisely and conform so tightly, if I choose, to my smallish wrist. Again, only 6 1/3 inches, and yet the fit is perfect. There's no sense that this wants to hula hoop, and because it's nicely counterbalanced by the clasp, there's no sense that it's imbalanced on the wrist. It's not top heavy. It doesn't feel, to use another nautical term, like it wants to capsize. A great watch, physically and visually balanced. This is a completely unpretentious watch with a wonderful sense of fun, a playful coloration, but because there is nothing exceptionally bright on it, it does have an element of discretion. It's not like a giant orange doxa that you're going to see across the room. And now the case back, which features sapphire display, Also features a blued rotor, blued plates, and bridges. The entire movement, this is UN caliber 26 based on the thin and fine chronometer spec ETA 2892A2. Features a complementary color scheme right down to the heat blued bolts and screws that matches the rest of the watch. And because the caseback itself features the same vulcanized rubber compound, it too is very soft against the skin. And then you have a titanium trigger actuated double deployant clasp to balance it all out and keep it secure. And here are these sort of pleated rubber bellows that I told you about that allow the watch to remain very flexible, very supple against the skin, but also allow the skin to breathe, allow water and sweat to escape. There is a beautiful amount of detailing on the dial, not just the gorgeous blue, functional, glowing luminova. That's right, colored luminova. It's not that key lime green that you're used to on luminova. This is blue, and it glows blue at night. Hands and indexes. It also features a constant seconds indicator and a jump date window at 6 o'clock. And if you see the power reserve right here, and I'm going to advance the minute hand forward so you can see how the power reserve itself advances as you wind the watch. It progresses from empty, turning counterclockwise toward full. The watch does have a 42-hour power reserve, and being auto-winding with a jump date and a chronometer rating. If you just put it on every single day, it'll keep accurate time. It has all the essential functions. It's the only watch you need. And being a true dive watch with a unidirectional rotating dive bezel, you see it has that convenient sort of failsafe, foolproof chronograph capability that every unidirectional rotating bezel watch has. Line up the index with the minute hand, and you can time intervals of up to 60 minutes. It's easier to use than a chronograph, and because this entire bezel is rubber coated, getting purchase on it is incredibly easy, even when wearing gloves, even when your hands are wet. Again, not only is it true to the technical specification of a dive watch, but being so easy to manipulate with the fingers, regardless of whether they are themselves clad in something like gloves or sweat, it just makes it a better dive watch and a better instrument generally. The treatment of all the rubber is gorgeous. There's hardly a flat surface. There's hardly a surface that hasn't received attention to either a matte finish or this wave motif that runs continuously throughout the dial. It's in the bezel inserts. It's on the strap itself. You can see it on the dial of the watch. The black dial of the watch actually has a gorgeous raised sort of convex rehaut that runs through the indexes, and then it has matching chapter rings around each of the subdials with that wave pattern cut into the dial itself, which has a gorgeous black lacquered finish that's just slightly gloss. It's quite beautiful. Like the rest of the watch, it's playful but understated. This is a tremendous timepiece for someone who wants an unpretentious, fun, classical Ulysse Nardin that has a little bit of a nod and a wink quality to it. Yes, there is that marine chronometer heritage, and you can see it in the essential layout of the dial, the style of the watch. But it's a big watch, a modern size with a modern wrist presence. It's fun. It's the kind of thing you can strap on your wrist and you just feel compelled to smile, because it cuts right to the heart of what we love about mechanical watches. It just evokes joy. It's playful, it's lighthearted, and yet very substantial and beautifully built. If you want a watch that meets all of the above criteria, check out this Ulysse Nardin Maxi Marine Diver Blue Sea limited edition, one of only 99 made, with full boxes, papers, technical manuals, and accessories on our website, Watch You Want.